Freddy gets a review. Yes, that's right. We're back at it again with the NECA Ultimate Action Figures. Today we are looking at Freddy Krueger from one of my personal favorite horror movies ever, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, which does have arguably my favorite movie poster artwork ever. I just think this is incredible artwork here. And yeah, you know what? Why don't we talk about the box first? We'll do a change of pace here. So there's Freddy. There's a red boiler room in the back. Then Nightmare on Elm Street, NECA. Here is a read-up on him. And you get some read-up there on what he comes with. Here is the bottom. Shout-outs to all those people. There's the barcode. There's all of that. Not really a whole lot of other stuff going on. But yeah, I really like that artwork. I think it's really cool. Especially the tagline of, you know, if Nancy doesn't wake up screaming, she won't wake up at all. I like that. So here is Mr. Krueger. And here he is with the other Wes Craven horror icon, Ghostface. So there you go. I think that's a pretty good scale. And yes, I did give him the Silver Shamrock skeleton mask. Here he is with Spider-Man. So there you go. If you want to have Freddy Krueger versus the Web Slinger, you can do that. And then, since Freddy Krueger has described himself as Fear himself, well, I think it only makes sense to have him with Scarecrow. So there you go. And then as far as how tall this guy actually stands, why don't we find out together? So he is, from the bottom of his shoes to the top, let's say to the top of his fedora, even though his fedora is removable, I'm going to say about 7¼ inches, but without the fedora, he's just about 7. So there you go. Get a little bit of height added to him because of the hat. And then in metric, looks like, let's say about 18 centimeters to the top of his head, but more like 19 centimeters to the top of his fedora. So here he is. And one thing that you might notice right off the bat is his arms don't have the stripe on there. I do think it is kind of obvious. I'm not entirely sure why that detail was skipped. Not the biggest fan of that, but at the same time, I don't mind it too much because there is a lot of detail elsewhere on the figure. So the hat definitely looks good. It looks accurate, and like I said, it is removable, so it just kind of fits on the top of his head there. So there you go. The hat looks good, and then so does the face sculpt. Well, technically the face sculpt doesn't look good because it looks horrible and disgusting and all of that, but that's kind of the point. So yeah, there you go. Here is the he's got kind of a menacing grin to him. I like that. Definitely fits the character, especially based off the first movie, because it's kind of a subtle change, but really Freddy Krueger is a certain way in the first movie, and he's not really like that in the other movies. So it's kind of interesting. So he's got his all messed up face there with like the red marks, and he's got like a burn mark there on the right side of his head there with his ear. And that detail kind of continues on to the back. So yeah, this guy just looks all messed up and gnarled and all of that, which is, again, kind of the point. So there's that. The sweater is interesting, and I heard that they chose the sweater to look like this because the human eye has trouble processing red and green, like, striped together like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So there's that. I do like the wrinkles on there. It looks like this is an actual sweater, even though it's not. It's just sculpted plastic. It looks like this is a real, like, cloth material or whatever that, you know, this guy is actually wearing. So looks good. I will say, though, the arms, like I said, it's kind of obvious that the striping doesn't continue. And then what I think is also obvious is that the arms are 2 different colors. So this is a brighter and kind of a glossier color for the top of the arm, and then for the bottom it's all grimy and dirty and all of that. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why they weren't you know, kind of going the extra mile with the arm detail, because they do have a lot of nice other details with the accessories, but I don't know why this part was skipped. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but whatever. I don't mind it too much. And then for the hands, for the left hand, it just looks like a, kind of a messed up, but otherwise regular human hand. So that looks pretty good. But then for the right hand, of course, it's not just any normal hand here. He's got his razor glove or finger knives or whatever you want to call these things. I think this has like several different names in it. Yeah, so it looks good. I like the detail there, how it looks like it's both a like real glove, but then there's also like metal on it that was meant to add to the the sharpness of these. These actually aren't too pointed, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But I mean, they definitely look sharp. And so there you go. I like how they're kind of a muted like gunmetal color, and then the glove itself is brown. So like very dark brown. And then yes, they did have the extra detail of the metal around the fingers there, as well as the inside of the glove. So I like that they did that. Again, don't know how they missed the arms, but whatever. And then for the pants here, they're in kind of a nice dark gray color. I like that. Again, they do look like pants, so there are like wrinkles and, folds in the fabric and all of that. And they do kind of clump together on the end there with, just kind of like, this is where the pants end. They're just kind of bunched up like that. And then here are the shoes, and I think the shoes look good. They're just black, and so they do have sculpted shoelaces and all of that, but there's not too much going on there. Yeah, so there's that, and that's about it for his look. We'll go over the accessories in just a little bit, but for right now, the articulation, he can look up just a tiny amount. He can look down just a tiny amount, so really his head isn't really looking up or down all that much, but it can turn from side to side, and you do get a little bit of attitude on there. It's just, not much. So, yeah, do be aware of that. And then for the arms, they can go out about that far, and no, they can't stretch out like he can in that one scene near the, with the Tina Nightmare scene where his arms are super long. His arms don't stretch out like that, but that's okay. And then they do, go all the way around. You get a single joint in the elbow, which actually gives you less than 90 degrees. So there's that to consider. And then you do get a rotation here. And then the hands can rotate, obviously. So there's that. And then they don't really go out all that much. Like, they can't really pivot like this because of... I'd say probably they can. It's just that the sculpt in the sleeve there for the sweater kind of hinders that. So there's not really anything in the torso. You do get a waist twist, though. So you can do that. And I can get it to go back a little bit and forward a little bit, but that's about it. So yeah, there is articulation in there, but I guess this is just so thick that doesn't really work. And then for the legs, they go out only about that far. And then for going forward and back, you're looking at about that much. So I think that that's reasonable. I think that that's okay. And then you do get a tiny bit of a thigh swivel. You get a single joint at the knee, and that one is closer to 90 degrees. So there you go. Then you do also get a rotation there. And then you do get, for the ankles, they go back just a little bit. They go forward just a little bit. You have some... a little bit of an ankle rocker there, and they can rotate as well. So that's about it. Not the best in terms of articulation, but I think that it looks good enough for, this guy just kind of standing here menacingly with his hat on, of course. So there you go. So there's that. And then as far as other accessories go, he does have some nice accessories. There's some nice inclusions. So the smiling head that he has on, that's not his default head that came in the package. That would be this one here. And this one definitely has that nice mean look to him that he kind of has at the end of the movie. He's got a messed up ear and all of that. Yeah, it's just kind of a stern, serious face. And for me, when I think of Freddy Krueger, I don't think of him as being like all serious and all of that. I know that that's kind of what he was in the second movie, Freddy's Revenge, but I didn't really care for that one as much. So yeah, but if you do want him to have a serious look, he has that. But me personally, I like the menacing smile look. So he does have that. Another thing that I thought was cool is in the Tina nightmare scene where she's trying to fight him off, she ends up peeling his face back, and when she does that, he looks like this. It's only for like a second or two, but I like that they had this detail in there when he has this face and he, laughs at her. I think that that's really cool. It looks really creepy and gross, but again, that's kind of the point. So I think that it looks really good there. Glad that they include that. They also included another thing from the Tina nightmare scene where he chops off to his fingers and green blood comes out of it. So yeah, if you want her to watch this, then he definitely can do that. And yeah, it looks good. And then he does, speaking of Tina, all the stuff about Tina, he does also come with the mask of Tina's face that he puts on to taunt Nancy near the end of the movie. And yeah, it looks really messed up. It doesn't actually look all that good, but I mean, I guess that's kind of the point of, it didn't look the best in the movie either, and it was a way of taunting, Nancy Thompson. And speaking of Nancy Thompson, a pretty iconic scene in the movie is, of course, when she's trying to call Glenn, and it doesn't work, and then the phone rings while it's disconnected, and then Freddy comes on the line and says, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." And then his tongue comes out at the end of the phone. So I like that they included this as an accessory, so they actually have the phone cord wrapped around it as a way of showing that, yeah, this phone is disconnected, and yet it's still working, because obviously, it's a dream and all of that. They do also have the numbers, like the buttons on there for the phone, and so that looks good. And then you do also have the tongue itself. So there you go. Now, unfortunately, there's no Nancy Thompson, probably because they don't have Heather Langenkamp's likeness or anything like that. So you don't exactly have a way to recreate the scene, although you do have part of it. So there you go. So that just about wraps it up, because we already looked at the package. So there is Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street. Definitely, a good addition to my collection. And I still, even though the arms kind of bother me a little bit, I still like this one. But let me know what you think. I am curious that, are these, and then, kind of a less articulation, is that kind of a deal breaker for you if, I'm not interested because of that? Or do you prefer some of the other ones, like, the Freddy's Revenge figure, or the Dream Warriors figure, or the new Nightmare figure that they've made? They haven't really made too many other ones other than those in terms of the ultimate treatment. I know that they made some other figures in the past, but it's not really the same as what they make now. But yeah, I'm curious to know what you think of that. But if you enjoyed this video, you like this figure, you like the original Nightmare on Elm Street, then do be sure to leave a like. You let me know in the comments what you think, if you like this, if you don't like this. And yeah, other than all of that, you can be sure to subscribe, stay tuned for future videos, check out my other NECA horror action figures if you haven't already. But other than all of that, I do hope that you enjoyed. I do hope that I will see you all later.